The Red Sox are red hot and rolling. 31-5 in the last 36 games. But don't fret, Yankees fans. The Yankees cavalry is coming, and they're bringing hell with them. Speaking of gunslinging, Carson Beck came out firing in the Hall of Fame game. We'll break it down and break down the NFC West. And if you're an NFL running back, you're likely very rich. We're digging into all the new deals around the league. Cash moves everything around me on Schein Time right now.
On the way. Up the middle, base hit. Here he comes. Sogard rounding to throw home. And the Sox win again. What a wild ride on a roller coaster tonight.
Yeah, if I was a Red Sox player, I would be cursing up a storm and dancing like no other two. And a season that is absolutely turned upside down in a wonderful way for the Boston Red Sox as they go from the biggest joke and embarrassment in all of baseball on Memorial Day to being an absolute wagon right now. And that was, to me, without question last night, the win of the year in a turnaround for the ages by the Boston Red Sox. And if you needed more signs from the sports gods and from the universe on why this team is going to the World Series, I want you to stare at this, right? Look at all these deficits. Look at the fact that they were down in the ninth inning and they won in extras. I mean, 7-6 in the ninth, and then to be able to win on that Dern line drive, the single that plated the game-winning run, and they celebrate like no other. And as we showed that video of the walk-off for the Boston Red Sox, you know what really hit me? The crowd, the energy. I mean, New England's living room, Fenway Park, and I'm a diehard Yankee fan saying this, right? And I do love the new stadium. There's nothing like baseball at Fenway Park. There's nothing like baseball when the Red Sox are hot and they're winning. And this team was so bad and so atrocious and just an unmitigated disaster and an eyesore and just a fiasco for basically the first half of the baseball season. And I think it's kind of crazy here if you stop and think about it. On June the 24th, the Boston Red Sox were 15 and a half games behind the New York Yankees. 15 and a half games. And then in a four-game series, the awful, atrocious Red Sox swept the Yankees. And on Schein Time on Monday, we made a big deal about it from a New York perspective, from a Yankee perspective. Oh, you can't lose to the worst Red Sox team that we've seen in literally decades, like 4 or 5 decades. That's how bad the Red Sox were. That proved to be a spark. They've turned it around. It's unbelievable. And then they make the trade, obviously, for the best relief pitcher available and for Rushman. And look at this. They're a half game behind the Yankees. A half game. On June 24th, 15 and a half behind the Yankees. Now they enter play today a half game behind. They have won 8 straight games, 9 straight series. All they do is win. And it's remarkable. And in a year where the American League stinks, it's wide open. You know, for the last wild card spot, you have 5 teams that are all in the mix. None of them are over 500. That tells you all you need to know. If they would have lost last night, it would have been, it is what it is. No Red Sox fan would have been critical in any way, shape, or form. You already won this series against the Chicago White Sox. But instead, they sweep away the White Sox, who are a playoff team. They swept L.A., the big bad Dodgers, in Los Angeles last weekend. The red-hot Red Sox are absolutely on fire. It's incredible to watch. I mean, you look at the nuggets of domination and jubilation for the Boston Red Sox. You watch them play. I mean, that was the win of the year if you're a fan of the Boston Red Sox. And honestly, I can't get enough from a Red Sox standpoint. And as a Yankee fan, I'm just sick because, you know, now you got the A's coming to town when you look at it for Boston. Meanwhile, the Yankees have the piping hot Atlanta Braves coming to town. And the Braves have won 8 in a row. And you look at the Yankees, right, and they can't hit can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. The Yankee rotation is why the Yankees will always have a chance. Even though there's no Judge walking through that door, no Belly walking through that door, no Stanton walking through that door this weekend. But you've got Fried Friday, you've got Cole Saturday, you've got Cam Schlittler on Sunday. And when you're facing the second best team in the National League record-wise with the Atlanta Braves, obviously because of the pitching, you're absolutely positively going to have a chance. So that's pretty awesome. But this is also going to be, I think, a nice little glimpse in terms of a litmus test. And, the Yankees got some good news. When Judge said, I'll be back, and, he went all Arnold Schwarzenegger on us. Listen, he's not coming back this weekend. Let's see what Fried and Cole and Schlittler could do. Let's see if the Yankees get any kind of offense. Let's see about the defense, and obviously Lombard Jr. has helped them. I mean, this is why you can never eliminate the Yankees from any kind of conversation, because of this kind of absolute gem rotation with the big three, and they're all going to be pitching going up against this juggernaut Braves team. And the Braves last night, they were able to win. Acuna Jr. a couple homers, Olsen a homer. The Braves have won 8 in a row. But look at these nuggets of futility. I mean, this is embarrassing. I mean, absolute disgrace. 1 run in their last 7 games didn't come courtesy of a homer, error, or the ghost runner. Just think about that for a second. What a damning sentence and nugget. Only 4 players have more than 1 RBI, a single, double, triple sacrifice, and it's just amazing when you look at it, and you're talking about Caballero. I mean, it's only 1 who's on the roster right now. It is a complete and utter disgrace, a joke, an embarrassment. I love Lombard. I love the juice that he brings to the table. I love what our guy Ben Rice brings to the table, and I'm a Jazz guy. I think Jazz Chisholm adds energy. He can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So, who do you trust if you're the Yankees right now? Who do you trust on offense? I mean, do you trust Trent Grisham? You trust Ryan McMahon? I mean, who do you actually want? Austin Wells digging into the batter's box? You look at the Yankees, look at the Red Sox, look at where they are right now. Honestly, it is impossible. Even with Fried and even with Cole and even with Schlittler, it is impossible to believe that the Yankees can win a series against the piping hot Atlanta Braves. It is impossible to believe, and I'm not overreacting, we said this after the trade deadline, Boston's going to finish ahead of the Yankees in the standings. And Boston has real World Series vibes. And look, this year it's going to be beyond wide open in theory. There is no case today as we speak for any other team in the American League other than Boston. It's as simple as that. The Rays, obviously, they're in first, and, the Red Sox still have a ways to go to catch them. If I asked you right here, right now, Red Sox, Rays, who's more likely to go to the World Series? Everyone and their mother, including mine, I talked to her today, everyone would take Boston. The vibes are great. Chad Tracy deserves a lot of credit. Look, we could be talking about, if you're being honest and objective, the interim manager for the Boston Red Sox winning the Manager of the Year. Like that's what we're talking about here when you start talking about an unbelievable run by Boston. It's amazing. It's incredible. Energy, comeback ability, never say die. The fans are into it. And you know what's crazy and so upsetting as a Yankee fan? Prior years, at any point in my life, Red Sox are hot, I'm depressed. There's such a flatline apathy for me and all Yankees fans because the team can't hit, Boone's a joke, Cashman's asleep. They decided to punt on second down during the trade deadline, and all the Red Sox do, it's crazy, is care about winning. The Yankees, what a complete and utter waste of time in every possible way. Still ahead, Carson Beck lit up the Hall of Fame game. We're all still waiting with bated breath for Aaron Donald's Rams decision. We're going to talk about both as we preview the NFC West next.
Shoot, from the time that you cross the white lines and you're out there on the first play, I was ready to roll. Since last night when I was laying in bed, I could barely sleep. Just thinking about having the opportunity to play football again. Just never taken it for granted. You know, ever since I went through the injury, the surgery, and, you know, had to get my UCL repaired and everything, I don't know, just having gratitude for the game and every opportunity that I get is just something that, you know, I've really found faith in. So I was ready to roll.
Football is back. How about it? Unbelievable. That Hall of Fame game last night was terrific, and Carson Beck was out there and looked outstanding. I mean, I say you never want to overreact to the preseason. Did you see Carson Beck last night? Look at these numbers. And here's the thing, right? You see it on the board right there. Selected in the 3rd round. And when they picked him, we made a big deal about it here on Schein Time because of his experience and what he did winning in Georgia and what he did in Miami last year. And he's a perfect fit in Mike LaFleur's system. And I thought he was sensational last night. Accuracy, arm strength, dropped it in the bucket a couple times on a couple of deep throws. And if you've taken a look at the Cardinals' schedule, and I'm not challenging you, I don't think you're sitting around and just perusing who Arizona's playing in Week 4. Trust me when I tell you, the Arizona Cardinals might start the season 0-10. I mean, this schedule is as tough as it gets, which is why, even if it's not his fault, we might see Jacoby Brissett benched and Carson Beck is going to be under center sooner rather than later. So I think when you look at it from a Carson Beck standpoint, this was absolutely a lot of fun. I was energized by having football back on TV. It's amazing, right? I mean, I try not to ever overreact when it comes to preseason, but I liked Carson Beck when they picked him, Monty Ossenfort, the general manager. And here's the goal, right? You want Carson Beck to either be your backup for the foreseeable future, or he can be your starter and you don't have to draft a quarterback at the top of the draft. Cardinals should get a top pick, either pick 1 through 3, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1 or 2. They enter this year, I believe, most likely, with the Dolphins being the other team, to be the worst team in the NFL and thus get the top pick in the draft, which is a perfect segue into our NFC West preview. Listen, the Arizona Cardinals are the longest of long shots when it comes to winning a division in the NFL this year. So because they're such a long shot, I mean 10,000 to 1 to win the West, let's start with the Arizona Cardinals because there is a 0% chance they win the division. And honestly, when you have 3 teams that can go to the Super Bowl this year in front of them, Arizona sadly is dead on arrival. And look at the Vegas over-under number. I hate to say this because I like the Cardinals. I like their new coach. I like their general manager. I like the entire organization. I like the fan base. I would take, and this is dangerous territory, the best bet is the under for wins. Like, you got to trust me on it. I've been looking at this schedule. I don't know how they win a game in the division. When you look at San Francisco and LA and you take a look at the defending champs, the Seahawks. I mean, they're going to go 0-6. They start the season with the Chargers. I don't know how they're going to win any games. So I actually love the under for the Arizona Cardinals. I think they will win between 0 and 3 games this year. Now, I do like Mike LaFleur. I think that was a really inspired choice to be the head coach, and you could tell how much this means to him. Love that on NBC last night where you had Matt LaFleur, Mike LaFleur, mic'd up together. You know, Mike didn't know his brother was going to be there. That whole thing was absolutely terrific and tremendous, and I think Mike LaFleur is a terrific choice and inspired as a head coach. He's a great offensive mind, comes from that McVay tree. Just terrific. Now, Jacoby Brissett's going to be the starting quarterback, and he should. Brissett was really strong last year. I think eventually Carson Beck's going to be the guy because they're going to lose a lot of games, and they're going to need to figure out if Carson Beck can play and if he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future. And also, when they start 0-2, 0-3, whatever it is, and you just got this nice Hall of Fame game sample size from Carson Beck, you're going to want to make that change. Now, I do think Trey McBride you should draft him in fantasy. I love Trey McBride. Great guy, great dude, terrific player, one of the best offensive weapons in the sport. He's going to have a monster season once again. I think Jeremiah Love, I love that pick. You know, third overall pick of the draft. Not just a running back when you look at Jeremiah Love. He's a weapon. He's a star. He's a stud. He's most likely, we talked about it on Schein Time yesterday, odds, Vegas, most likely to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. The only question is going to be, will he get enough touches and carries, I should frame it that way, when they're constantly going to be trailing in game. Sure, Brissett's going to look to check down to him. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to produce. Let's be crystal clear. There's no question about it. I mean, this is year 3. You could color me stunned that he continues to have the yips. He can't catch a cold. Michael Wilson's been the #1 guy. No excuse this year for Marvin Harrison Jr. Listen, I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be dreadful. I feel bad saying it. I love that organization, but I will absolutely bet the under for wins for the Arizona Cardinals. But I want to stress, they're moving in the right direction. I'm a big fan of Mike LaFleur. I thought that was an inspired choice. I like Monty Austin Ford as the general manager, but I would bet the under here for the Cardinals when you look at it in the over-under for the win total for this upcoming season. The Rams are an absolute powerhouse. And listen, in terms of betting on the Rams, I mean, you're going to shop till you drop. You absolutely have to bet the over on wins. We've been through the schedule on numerous occasions. I mean, to me, the only question is, do you give them 12, 13, 14, 15 wins? I mean, they are absolutely unequivocally the best team on paper. And when you start talking about coach and you start talking about Sean McVay and, you know, I love them to win the division, and you could talk about betting them to win the conference, and, you know, they will be in consideration for me on the handful of teams, and they are absolutely the Vegas favorite when it comes to winning the Super Bowl. So Sean McVay's won before. I talk to him all the time. My SiriusXM radio show does a great job getting stars to play together. He's a terrific natural leader, gets cohesion on a team. Love Sean McVay. I would bet the over on the wins. I would bet him to win the division. I would bet him to win the conference. And listen, they've got the best odds, I mean, to win the division, to win the conference, and they're the Vegas favorites to win the Super Bowl in LA. I would absolutely bet on Matthew Stafford doing MVP Hall of Fame things once again. I mean, I know he's getting up there in age. I don't care. Matthew Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. No signs of slowing down. He's going to have another monster season. Throwing the ball to Puka Nacua. I know it was, you know, not a great offseason for Puka. It sounds like, based upon the press conferences that Puka has given us during training camp, that Puka understands what he can do, what he can't do. And I would like to think that Puka Nacua has grown up a little bit, I hope, for L.A. Devontae Adams is also a Hall of Famer, and Devontae Adams as your #2, as a touchdown machine. He's unbelievable. And I just love the tight ends that McVay has at his disposal, and that's going to add in terms of creativity. They're going to run the ball effectively with Kyron Williams. I think Blake Corum is solid. They have the ability to run with multiple backs. The offensive line is strong. Oh, by the way, Myles Garrett. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? I mean, it's amazing when you stop and think about it. I still can't believe they traded for the guy who won the Defensive Player of the Year, the #1 sack artist in the NFL. And we had Les Snead on Schein Time. He said, Myles Garrett's the ultimate starting pitcher and a closer. You jump out to a lead, and then bam, you're going to have Myles Garrett sacking the passer. Think about all those times where they didn't have the lead in Cleveland, and at the end of the day, you know, you look at it, and Myles Garrett was still able to disrupt everyone. Myles Garrett this year is going to have, and he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer whenever he calls it a career, and he's not close to being done. He's got the best year of his career. Like, I think for him, and under Chris Shula, and playing with the lead and playing in all these big-time, meaningful, prime-time games and the juggernaut that is the NFC West, Myles Garrett's going to have the most dominant, impactful year that he's ever had in his life. By the way, they traded for Trent McDuffie, and that was the move of the offseason before Myles Garrett was the move of the offseason. See a problem, fix a problem. They couldn't stop the forward pass on Championship Sunday, struggled with the forward pass down the stretch of the season. So Les Snead was able to bring in different DBs, most especially right from the get-go to start the offseason, Trent McDuffie. And look, if Aaron Donald signs, that means Aaron Donald believes that he's ready to be Aaron Donald. And that means one of the all-time great players in the history of the National Football League on defense. So I can't stress enough in terms of previewing the NFC West how much I love the Rams. They're unequivocally going to be my pick to win the division. Again, we don't lock anything in because of injuries, trades, free agency, the whole thing, until right around Labor Day. But that's the mindset. The only question is how far will I ultimately pick them to go? But there's a reason why they are the favorite in Vegas when it comes to winning the NFC, winning the Super Bowl. That's the expectation. They've got the galaxy of stars. They're not slowing down. And listen, winning the LA Super Bowl is in the cards, and that would be the ultimate Hollywood ending for the LA Rams. The San Francisco 49ers are a conundrum. A real conundrum. And it's like Vegas wasn't quite sure here what to do with them. Because the over-under basically says playoff team or not. Make the playoffs, it's only minus 146. They've got the third best odds to win the division. Now, I want to acknowledge here the upside if everything is copacetic and everyone's healthy and Kyle Shanahan's okay. You know, their upside is to go to the Super Bowl and win it. The problem is Kyle Shanahan, who was involved in that awful car accident, is still not coaching in training camp. So that is now a football story. And by the way, the first game of the season, it's the Rams and the Niners in Australia on that first Thursday of the NFL season. So this is a problem here. And listen, I don't want to make too big a deal about injury reports in July and August, but look, we know Ricky Pearsall is out for the year. He's on season-ending injury reserve. But you have Mike Evans, who's been great during training camp, but, you know, he's missed practice time, and George Kittle's missed practice time. And that's just under the umbrella of it's just not what you want. So I think Brock Purdy is a terrific quarterback. I don't think he gets the credit and respect that he deserves in the court of public opinion. But I think Shanahan is a big reason why he's been so strong. We ranked the running backs in the NFL the other day on Schein Time. We had Christian McCaffrey as the third best running back in the league, and he is as tough and as physical and as valuable as it gets. If you are a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, you understand the meaning. Mike Evans is an absolute stud. We call that a significant, a free agent signing as any in the NFL that will equal wins for San Francisco. George Kittle is back. That's a big deal. Trent Williams on the offensive line. The big deals on defense, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are back. They're healthy. And these guys are, you know, stars, all-pro players. And getting them back and healthy is simply everything when you look at it for San Francisco. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Niners yet. I try not to overreact on bad vibes for a team, but then again, we've seen bad vibes equal bad play on numerous occasions with injuries and drama and contractual situations. And, you know, if you can get San Francisco to not make the playoffs at plus money, that might be your best bet. And I love the talent. I love the coach. I don't know if the coach is going to be there. So, I mean, at this stage, I acknowledge the upside. I think it's important to acknowledge the downside. I right now, in early August, wouldn't touch anything for the San Francisco 49ers. There's not a bet I would place on the Niners. I'm going to wait and see if everyone's healthy and if Kyle Shanahan could coach, because I acknowledge the upside here, but there's something off when you look at it for the San Francisco 49ers. Then you have the Seahawks. And, you know, I love Mike McDonald's, and I love Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold guy. It is interesting how Vegas is treating the champs, and I want to give Vegas credit. 10.5 feels right. Second best odds, not the best, at plus 205 to win the division. Sounds right. I don't think it's a hot take to say Seattle takes a step back. Look, they lost 3 key players on defense. Kenneth Walker signed in Kansas City. Now, I love Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's unbelievable. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is an absolute star. Sam Darnold has always had the talent. He's found it the last couple of years. Am I allowed to wonder aloud that Clint Kubiak's no longer there? Now, I think Sam is going to have another terrific season. I'm a huge fan of Sam Darnold's. I just, at this stage, when you look at it, I can't sit here and tell you that you're going to see in a year where everything went right for Seattle, a lock for them to do anything on this board. I think their upside is to go to the Super Bowl and repeat and win it. Rams will be my pick in the division. Seattle with Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to have another monster season. He's going to be absolutely positively terrific again. Draft him in fantasy. In reality, he's one of the best receivers, top 4 in the NFL. Absolutely love him. JSN, Offensive Player of the Year. They should have spelt his name right on that trophy. The guy is absolutely incredible, and I'm obsessed with what he brings to the table. And that defense could be the best in the NFL. I think it's the best in the NFC. I have the Texans as the best in the NFL. And I think that Mike McDonald, who's a brilliant defensive mind, will make sure that that defense is ready to rock and roll and ready to handle success and prosperity and understand that they're going to be the hunted, not going to sneak up on anyone. But I'll tell you, I am not picking Seattle, though, to win the division. I'm not picking Seattle to make the Super Bowl again. But I think that when you, and all these, even the over-under kind of makes me nervous. I lean on the over, and I'll probably pick the Seahawks to make the playoffs because I'm obsessed with Sam Darnold. I'm obsessed with Mike McDonald. I love Gray Zabel on the offensive line, voted him for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, even as a guard. Jackson Smith-Njigba is special. I love John Schneider, their general manager. They were able to replenish at the running back position. I think that this team is so smart and buttoned up, and they have a great home field advantage, and that's a big deal when these other teams have to travel to the great Northwest. But seeing Seattle repeat for a championship, I would be floored if that happened in the great Northwest this season. Still ahead, NFL running backs are getting rich and getting rich all at the same time. We're going to play accountant next on Schein Time. We begin with great news for the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta is making my guy, Bijan Robinson, the highest paid running back in NFL history.
Hopefully, actually, I gotta go talk to my agent too. I gotta go talk to him and see where things are at.
Really, I'm just letting my agent, Brad and all them do all that right now. I'm just worried about the team involved.
What a week for running backs in the National Football League. And we've been chronicling it all week long. And yesterday, after we did our show, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs get paid as predicted. So technically, now if you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, he on AAV is the highest paid running back in the National Football League. So you have Gibbs, you have Bijan, you have Jonathan Taylor, and Saquon Barkley all over 20 mil per season, which is absolutely incredible. And listen, it all started with Saquon, where Howie Roseman told me they were going to zig when others were going to zag at the running back position. And then, bam, it set the stage for this with Gibbs and Bijan and Jonathan Taylor. Christian McCaffrey's making $19 million a year. And these are the 5 guys that I believe are the 5 best running backs in the NFL. You know, we had a different order. I go Bijan and then Gibbs, Bijan and then Taylor, and then McCaffrey, and then Gibbs, and then Saquon Barkley. But it's close, right? I mean, you can make a case for any of these 5, which is why having this running back renaissance to me is everything. I mean, it's awesome. And even in a passing league with the rules that favor the star quarterbacks, you need to run to win. And these guys that are all on the screen right here, these are not, old school running backs. They're weapons who happen to run the football and run it brilliantly and move the chains and close games. But they help in the passing attack in addition to pass protection, and this is why they get paid. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs, when you look at his touchdowns and what he's been able to do in a rapid period of time, it's ridiculously amazing, right? And now he's going to be the bell cow guy for the Detroit Lions because David Montgomery goes to Houston. And listen, in some ways there's something to prove for Gibbs on that. Right now he doesn't have someone who's going to spell him. Also, if you're a Lions fan, anytime Gibbs wasn't in the game, you were screaming at your TV, get Jahmyr Gibbs in the game. Also, I got to give Brad Holmes, our general manager, credit, right? I mean, draft and develop, it's what it's all about. And that was kind of the, Vontae Mack draft day, Kevin Costner, Jahmyr Gibbs, no matter what approach. If you remember 3 years ago in the draft, traded back, traded up. If they drafted Gibbs, I defended them. A lot of people were killing them. That was in the Bijan draft where Bijan went in the top 5, and Gibbs turned out to be as good, if not better. I still think Bijan is just a thumbnail better. Listen, I mean, these guys are absolute studs, and it's just terrific for the NFL that these guys, who look at the names, they're not only terrific players, they're all 5 of the best dudes you'll find. What they do representing their teams and their communities, which matters when it comes to giving this kind of cash. So worth every single penny. I'm absolutely obsessed. And these 3 guys, Robinson and Taylor and Gibbs, all deserved it this week. I'm happy for themselves, their families, their agents, for the teams, for the organizations. Get that distraction out now, so now they can go play football and live up to this whopping salary. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs, just like Jonathan Taylor, just like Bijan Robinson, worth every single penny. Coming up, the Purdue AD may need the Boilermaker as a bodyguard next time he heads to Indiana. We'll explain when we come back.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Wait, what? That could be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard at a press conference. And that's the new Purdue AD, Tommy McClellan, talking to the press yesterday. And he took a factually incorrect, dumb, asinine, stupid, embarrassing, pathetic shot at Indiana. Indiana won a championship months ago. Remember this? Remember Fernando Mendoza? Remember Signetti? Remember Cooper? Remember the undefeated, most unbelievable college football story we've seen ever? And this is what you're going to say when you're introduced as the AD at Purdue? I mean, that is just a PR nightmare. Like, if I'm a kid in that college, I absolutely at this stage am pulling my hair out. That's a joke. That's embarrassing. That's pathetic. That's a disgrace. And you're going to be playing Indiana. And all the kids in Purdue who, were thinking about if they're going to go to Purdue or Indiana, I wouldn't even set foot in that school. I mean, I can't. Why would you want to go to Purdue after that? That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Last time, we looked this up. Last time Purdue won a championship. It's women's golf. Women's golf in 2010. Indiana last won a championship this calendar year. Dumb, embarrassing, pathetic, amateur hour. That's it. I'm done with Purdue athletics. Done. I'll never watch another game. I'll never root for Purdue. If I see a Boilermaker on the street, I'm going to slug him in the face. That's it. I've had about enough. I'm done with Purdue. That's amateur hour. All right, there, it's a show. If you missed any portion of the show, just do what I do. I love me. Watch the show over and over and over again. Just go to our brand new YouTube page at Schein Time. Subscribe, like, and how about Tessa? Last day, Michigan State, she also hates Purdue. Best intern we've ever had, which says something about something because, Schein Time's only been on since March. But the best intern since I have been a professional, since 1999. I have 3 interns a year at SiriusXM. Go back to Tessa Cav if we can one more time, right? Best intern we've ever had. She's running the prompter. She's cutting video. She's producing segments. You know why? Because she didn't go to Purdue. We'll see you Monday on Schein Time.